on this time.
Thank you very much, Devin.
I hope so, Devin. I'm counting on you. I mean, when you talk about legacy,
Governor, don't, Devin, don't hang up and let the governor wrap up when we come back. Don't hang up. Be back right after this, everybody. And I'm back here, analysis. The governor was wrapping up a conversation with Delegate Devin Carrington, who yesterday was part of the delegation that convened in St. Thomas for the 6th Constitutional Convention. Governor?
Well, Devin, I just wish you all the best of luck in putting this together and Godspeed, because you talk about legacy. If we get this passed and my name gets to be signed on the bottom, I'm done. It wouldn't even matter anything else we've accomplished in the 8 years. My name is be like, you mean it's like being George Washington or something, you know, you signed the Constitution for the U.S. Virgin Islands. That's a legacy on, like, you know, that's iconic. That's my word for the year. Striving to be an icon of pride for the Virgin Islands. And I urge everybody to take on the same challenge.
Well, Governor, it is my intent to be successful in this endeavor. We have a great team, like I said, mixture of older heads and experienced heads, but some young, exuberant, very smart millennials. And my hope is to make you the George Washington of the Virgin Islands.
Godspeed, my brother.
And as you would, you know, being my client, don't let me hear you talking to the governor behind my back when I cut the deal, okay? Because I will subota you.
Well, in any contract, any agreement we come to, I'm writing you percentage.
I just wanted to be clear from the start. Okay, good. Hey, Devin, congrats to you and the other 14 members, and looking forward to hearing nothing but productive things that will lead to a sound document that the people of the Virgin Islands can be proud of.
And I thank you for your wishes, and let me just say to the governor, Governor, I heard your state of address, and in the last 2 years of the administration, I wish you the greatest success, because at the end of the day, your success accrues to the benefit of the people of the Virgin Islands.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
You got it. Thank you, Devin Carrington. I appreciate that. So, Governor, let me shake your hand like this thing official this morning. They're here in the studio. And Richie
was that the Devin Carrington deal, or was this something else?
Well, we're going to talk. We're going to talk. 7th State of the Territory address. Looking back at the first one and your progression through the years, looks like you're more comfortable given the address, the speech. Talk a little bit about the preparation and all that stuff before we get into the details.
Well, this year was markedly different because Carl is usually the one who puts together the speech, and because of that, we started really early. We started like October, September. Actually, we started, because we had a cabinet retreat. Every year we compete. We have cabinet members compete to get a name or their project mentioned in the State of the Territory. It's quite a piece of pride for everybody. I used to get mad with Governor DeYoung all the time. He's like, you don't never mention Labour, the man. But I think most of the cabinet was included, but we left a lot on the cutting room floor. We started out at like 16,000 words, and we got it down to 11,500. Yeah. And that's the shortest.
Hold on. I'm doing the math in my head. Yeah. So 16,000 down 4,500. That's a significant reduction. That's like 30, 34, almost 30%.
It went from like 38 pages to 27 pages.
A quarter then.
Because, we wanted to stick in something in there. And I listened to people reacting. I heard some people from the business sector side say, this was a different voice for the governor. We really wanted to. I went back and I looked at what the state of the territory is supposed to be. It's supposed to be a report to the legislature on how this.
That's what the language says in the revised organic act 54.
So when we constructed it, I said, okay, let's talk about where we are in terms of our economy. Let's talk about where we are in infrastructure and our recovery, and then let's get to the realness of the situation people are feeling because of the incredible inflation around us. And the pressures is funny. Virgin Islanders do best in terms of accumulating wealth under bad times. We get more home ownership and everything because labor becomes cheap and people start doing work for themselves. During these times now, it's just like the original team for this State of the Territory was actually rebirth. And we likened it to giving birth to a child. And when a child come home, you have to change your routines. It disrupts the family. It costs more expenses. You got to find sitters. It is what's happening to us now. It's like we have been, and I started my speech by thanking and acknowledging my God and Creator for. We just been, I don't know what people compare it to, but we have been just bountifully blessed over the last 6 years of my administration. Every time we come to a hard place and we think there's nowhere to go, I just say God to come true for me because, and people tell me, you're the luckiest person I ever meet. It's a matter of the prayer that we have a lot of prayer warriors out there that stop me in the street and say, Governor, I pray for you every day. I say, keep praying because it's working. Like last year, we paid out $42 million in taxes. All of a sudden, we had this money come in, and I said, you know what? Let's pay the refunds with this money. And we paid it out. And now we're in a situation because we worked hard, thanks to the delegate I got, Stacey Plaskett, some credit where credit is due. The reimbursement of the unearned income credit.
Earning up to 40 million on average.
So what happens is, if you get 10 million, right? You send out $10 million in taxes, you can get $4 million back in earned income credit. Then you send out that $4 million, and you get back $2. And you send out the 2, you get 1. So with $10 million, you end up sending out $17 million in returns. So right now, we have like $37 million to get accurate, to get up to date. We could send out 20 million and get to 37 million. But we got some other things lingering. Nevertheless, it was about rebirth. And we really think that people keep saying, I don't feel a recession. I don't feel a recession. I don't feel the recovery. I don't feel the recovery.
Well, let me stop you right there. I'm glad you went there. Because when you're giving the speech, you're being so optimistic. That's the reason why they might believe that way, Governor.
I don't know why they're not optimistic. When you look, think about this. Right?
No. Listen, Kirsten. Listen to what I just said. They said when they see you giving this speech and you're sung in with optimism, there might be this belief that you insensitive to how we hotting out in the territory. That's the perception. Erroneous. It might be erroneous, but I'm just saying from a perception perspective.
And that's why the speech talks about personal action, because the government could never catch up with your anticipated lifestyle. You have to take personal action because you got to think St. Croix, the refinery closed down, traffic tight every day. People moving around. Unemployment is less than 4%. So where is the pain coming from? The prices, the inflation is just on us like white on rice. And the inflation is a result of the things that are happening globally, truly, but they're also because of the things that happen locally. Now, the thing that you never, Jimmy Weber told me this. He said, you never, as a politician, you never get credit for the things you stop from happening. The rest of the world is recovering from COVID. We still have supply chain shortages. We still have the interest rates and the inflation that you're seeing now. We still have labor gaps. All of that is from COVID. A tremendous amount of people retired. The Virgin Islands is we recovering from the great success we had during COVID. So we're actually not doing as much business and getting as much money as we had when it was COVID. COVID was actually a great time for us. So we feeling...
Dollars-wise, you're talking economic
resources-wise.
Yeah.
We feeling the least of the pain, right? That the rest of the economy is feeling. We're feeling the least of it. So countries still haven't... So people going, oh, well, it's not as good as it was in COVID because you were getting free money, you were at home. We went down $30 million in food stamps alone. We went from 85 million to 55 million. We went from 30,000 on almost 40,000 people on Medicaid down to 27. So what you're feeling is a lack of that support. 8% tax check coming, retro pay. We pumped over the last 4 years, 3-4 years, an additional 400 million or more in just ARPA into the community. Free programs for the kids. We sponsored so many things around here. Remember the premium pay? Mm-hmm. All of those extra money coming. And then government salaries gone up 25%. When in any administration?
Since 2019.
when in any administration anything went up 25%. So the thing that people don't give us a credit for is we're paying the GRS. We're paying WAPA. We're still making our allotments. We're keeping our stuff up to date. There's no lawsuits. We eliminated all the GRS lawsuits.
Well, that 25% you're talking about, one of the reasons why the 25% ain't a true 25% impact is because corporate America has not come back to where it was pre-pandemic as it relates to the cost of commodities and the cost of goods. So the full feel of that 25% increase ain't happening.
So what you're doing
I'm just talking economics.
No. But what you're saying is, you're saying exactly what I'm saying. The government has responded by increasing your salary by 25%.
No. What you're saying is don't blame the government. There's just circumstances that the government can't control that is
absolutely
that is impacting why you don't feel the benefit.
But Neville, in the past, the inflation have hit and the government haven't responded. The difference between now...
No, I agree with that part.
The difference between now and every time we had a recession, when we had the Great Recession in 2009, Obama went into office, it didn't have any projects going on. There was no government spending. The only money we got really was the broadband project. So we during the 6 years, I call it the 6 years of feast, because the famine coming that we have been in with this administration, we have been able to manage our finances, not to where we want to be, but definitely compared to us. When you look over to Puerto Rico, they have the same problems and worse. Infrastructure, recovery, power, water, failings, infrastructure systems. We lead the territories in terms of everything. And not since I'm governor, always we lead the territories. And when you look at what we've been, nobody is registering in their mind that in 2009, when the power rate was 53 cents a kilowatt hour, it collapsed our economy. So People saying, "Oh, I hurting," but imagine if we didn't have the $100 million to put into WAPA, we'd have been decimated. So you don't get credit for what you stop from happening. So in the speech, we genuinely acknowledge that inflation is killing people. But guess what? Ain't like we ain't doing anything about it. We're trying our best with the resources we have to supplement income, to create wealth, to add educational opportunities, to take care of child care, and to support all of the people that we can, you know?
I just want to say, as a history buff that I am, the reality is, though, you mentioned all these different windows that we've had our issues, Great Recession and all that stuff. In effect, when people look at the Herbert Hoover backhand compliment of the Virgin Islands being an effective poor house, basically it wasn't a backhand compliment. It was an accurate statement, because you know what has happened with all these windows that you're talking about? We have been a resilient people.
Yes.
So if in fact we're an effective poor house, you know what he's saying? They have mastered learning to make do with what they have. So basically what you're saying is he was prophetic and accurate in what he was saying.
Well, I wouldn't go. I've been Long Island. I've gone to I've been touring the Caribbean. We are far away from poor house. Trust me. I don't think.
No. Here's what I'm saying. He referred to us back then in, I think it was 41 or no, 34, whatever it was.
Yeah, it was 34.
34, right? When he said, we got to do something for the Virgin Islands, Kadonya. Remember, we were under naval rule and all that stuff, right? Basically, he was saying that we learned a practice of if we get 10 cents, we're going to make the 10 cent stretch, right? I ain't comparing us to Long Island, because I know my money for my thing, I've been Long Island, okay?
Yeah.
Long Island,
poorhouse.
People could talk what they want. This is heaven. This is really paradise, right? What I'm saying is we persevered. We were fortunate because kept the ports open, right? In 2020, 2021, when folks were saying, when other islands were saying don't come in, we were open and we benefited, whether it be indirectly or directly.
I mean, when you think about, last year we spent $140 million to buy the WAPA. We couldn't do that before. Like, we wipe out $180 million debt for $140 million debt for WAPA and added $180 million asset to their bottom line. From 2007, people complaining that we didn't have the small generators, and that's why WAPA couldn't let people leave the grid, because what it was going to do is create more expense on everybody else who stayed on the grid, because we had 30 megawatt generators. So you can't turn off 9 megawatts to the 30 megawatts. The engine running with the same gas. Now we have nine
diversified
9 watt cellars. In St. Croix, the same thing. We can scale up or scale down. We have 41 megawatts of solar power in St. Croix. And you know what?
So you feel good about the delivery of the speech?
I feel great about it.
Richie, you feel good?
I wish I could do better.
Did your boss deliver the goods as it relates to what you guys wrote in that? Was it 27 page speech?
27.
You feel good about that, Mr. Director?
Yes, I do. He did well.
Okay, good. Get that out of the way. That's the niceties. We're gonna have some fun beginning at the top of the hour here. We got Governor Albert Bryan in the house. We're talking about the state of the territory and some other issues as well. Be back right after this.
The views and opinions expressed on Analyze This are entirely those of the on-air participants and do not reflect those of the station's board, management, staff, or underwriters. The views and opinions expressed on Analyze This are entirely those of the on-air participants and do not reflect those of the station's board, management, staff, or underwriters.
And we're back here. Analyze This. We've got Governor Albert Bryan joining us here in the studio, as is the custom in the aftermath of delivering the State of the Territory address. Also have his press secretary, communications director, Richard Mota Jr. From out of the East. Morning, Richie. How you doing?
Good morning. Out of the West. Family from the East.
I'm glad you know that. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Well, actually, family from both East and West.
Right, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Grew up in best of both worlds.
Yeah, the Cadigator.
Yeah.
Right. And Reggie and Aldersville, and of course, moms from down in the West. Before I get back to the governor, Richie, the governor talked about Carl Knight being the chief of staff, playing a part in putting the speech together. You've always had a role in that as well. How quickly did it come together? So you can say, Governor, we're ready for you to look over the document.
You know, it's a months-long process. You know, a lot of people don't realize what goes into to drafting this, right? We always say, and I always tell the governor, this is the biggest stage that we're going to have all year, and so we have to get it right. And so a lot goes into it. It starts with the contributors, that's members of the cabinet, like the governor alluded to. Oftentimes they compete for mention in the State of the Territory address. So we get all of the information comes in through the members of the cabinet, and then the policy advisors also assist with that. And then that usually takes about a month or two, and then the writers start getting into the document and arranging stuff and putting it together for flow. So it's just like meticulously putting pieces to a puzzle, and then we present it to the governor as a draft, and of course the governor does his thing, tells us, what he wants, where he wants it, what he would like added, maybe some of the things that he want emphasized, and that's where the style.
Tell him the truth. Y'all they lock me out of it.
Yeah, we don't keep. Okay,
we're
gonna keep it real. We lock him out of the document as long as we can, because sometimes his ideas and what we recommend for him to say and move forward with don't always actually align.
When I get on mic on the night, I say what I want to say. So there was a lot of ad-lib in the speech, because there are things that need explaining. I mean, the one thing that is legislature that always say, oh, there's not enough detail. Absolutely there's not enough detail, because there was so much in there, you can't explain a lot of things. And there are things that I think are important, like the fire station in Grove. We didn't mention that last night. That's out of the ground now. The walls are coming up.
Night before.
It's just like a blur. But, going back to the speech, we wanted to tell people, during the election, I noticed it, right? Our campaign headquarters will be full all the time. No Tregenza, no Albert. Bingo going, karaoke going. And I realized people, even after the campaign was done, they would still be coming to the campaign headquarters. People need low-cost things to do. And that's why we invested in the parks and straightened them up. I was flying over. WIM looks awesome. Science Farm coming along. Because we got some money to fix some things, and then there's some other things that need to be fixed that FEMA didn't cover. So we're working, doing some stuff. We got 16 playgrounds we're putting in, creating spaces so families don't have to spend like $60 to go to the movies, or to take your family to dinner, $100, $200, $300. You could take your kids to the park. Little League started last weekend. Both parks ready for them. DC Kanagita and Emile Griffith. Great welcome backs to those parks being fixed up, new dugouts or whatever. We thinking about, okay, what do families need? Early Head Start, and pre-K. We continue pushing those. Early we getting kids into school. It's good for us because we get them educated. It's good for families because they have childcare and being able to go to work. So like a brush over last night was Lutheran Social Services pre-Head Start that they did over there by Country Day. Good Hope School, beautiful facility. They're expanding their services. And when you've been in this for a long time, I go all the way back to the Children's and Family Council under Cecile DeYoung that we worked on. I was on the council, a lot of us. And the things we talked about then, having pre-K in school, expanding Head Start, all those things are happening now. We're getting, and then when you see the education numbers are starting to perk up and starting to look a little better. I know people were surprised about that. You're seeing this plan come together because it takes continuity in order to create growth. You can't be changing course all the time. You have to be able to maintain that straight, streamlined growth. So that growth creates a lot of inflation. And the two big ways we combat inflation: power, because that affects everything in the Virgin Islands, and home ownership, giving people a piece of the rock. So when I create an asset for you that you are ready, from time I give it to you, $90,000 in equity you have. That's $90,000 in value that family could take back 10 years from now, when that 90,000 has grown to probably 100,000 or 200,000. Refinance their loan and get the money to invest and build another house or send the kids to college or wherever it is. So it's real forward thinking. And sometimes, people get upset because of the today. But as governor, I can't spend all my time worrying about today. I have to be planting these seeds for tomorrow. Otherwise, we'll live good today, but tomorrow we'll be in real trouble.
Governor, let we go island by island. Right? I know we could go agency by agency, but I prefer to go island by island as it relates to needs and priorities. St. John.
Oh, St. John right now, roads are a big issue over there. We still have sewage problems over there still. The legislature appropriated $10 million for a park in Enid Pond, which is really the Carnival Village. But St. John is moving along. We get some projects over there. St. John does well by itself because, they're very resilient people. But the roads is a priority there.
But you did mention home ownership for locals ain't happening.
It is happening. So, I forgot.
No. What I'm saying is it's rough in St. John simply because of the economic terrain over there.
Well, not anymore, because we just bought 315 housing units.
Okay.
And, it's funny how people skip over all the good news and go, the governor ain't say this or the governor ain't say that. 315 households. We bought Bellevue, Calabash Boom, and Love and Land. So all them people who have been promised for years that they were going to be able to buy their unit in St. John, now they're going to have the opportunity to buy their unit $150,000. And guess what? We're going to help them finance it too. So this is huge. 315 new homeowners. And we were it was a great deal we got. We got the HUD money to do it. I said, let's do it. I didn't think it could work. I was like, I'm going to put all my forces beyond this. Now is the hard part, right? We got to convert these to home ownership. We need to fix up some so they get that. I didn't even mention it the night. Maurice James with
Williams Delight.
Williams Delight.
Oh, we coming to St. Croix.
We doing that too. Okay, so
I want
but
to call St. John, then St. Thomas and White Island, and St. Croix.
But at least I think at least 150 of those units.
And by the way, have some respect. Senator Maurice James.
That's right. That's right.
Okay, it might show you. I wouldn't live it down without her saying that. But you're talking about the roads and some sewage over there in St. John.
Yeah, we still have some pump stations problems around Enid Pond. Or there's a new town plan that they created for St. John. We got money. The bathrooms in Cruz Bay. We didn't mention that. Those are gone about to bid. I think we had come back real expensive, but we got some more money, so we're fixing those. Oppenheimer Bay. A lot of people don't know the government owns a facility on the beach there. Mm-hmm. We're redoing that. And then Myra Keaton, Mars de Castro, and the new school. That bundle is out to bid now. I think if it's not in evaluation, it's been out to bid a while. So lots going on in St. John. St. John is a logistical problem for us because...
What can we do to keep Trunk Bay as the #1 beach in the world? In other words, the government involvement. They say when the government get involved, that's one thing that got bad. What can we do to provide that external, indirect support to make sure that Trunk Bay hold that status? I mean, that's nature, but we could protect our environment as well. The humorous
part of our mind is let's hope that the Trump administration don't find oil in St. John and start drilling, because baby drill. No, I mean, how do you move from being the world's most beautiful beach to off? I mean, Listen,
That's something we're not hyping enough, in my opinion.
I was on Cookie Point on Sunday. Me and Ruth went down. We don't, no security, nothing, and take a swim. The water in the Virgin Islands is magical. I haven't been Cookie Point in years, but I take time to go from beach to beach. When I hear it go down Dorsch early in the morning, the water is beautiful. I mean, we live in such an incredible place. Like, I don't think we really appreciate.
It's a paradise, man.
God!
Look outside. You got a sailboat there walking away over there now. So, I mean, this is paradise, and that's a good segue there. The eastern side of St. Thomas. What's the big issue? We
get some road problems as usual in St. Thomas. St. Thomas Red Hook, like the amount of traffic there, is just incredible. We have Lovango. We're trying to set up some new docking and stuff for them. Lovango is a little island off of St. John. We have a resort there, eco resort. Mm-hmm. They're expanding as well. We didn't talk about that. And in that whole area, you have the cricket field that they're playing cricket on now in Nazareth. I talked about you
referenced that in the speech Monday.
Ivana Idorican School is going to be demolished at some point. They're going to rebuild that school. Then the Olympic Stadium that I said we need to give it up $20 million. Every time I think about it, I remember Chico. What Chico really?
Angel Morales. Yeah.
They came to me and they said, they want to do this stadium out there. FEMA's going to pay for it. I said, sure. The next thing I know, I see a piece of legislation come up for $20 million to build a stadium next to the stadium.
Yeah, that's what you're talking about, the duplicity, right? You mentioned that Monday night. Yeah, call on the line. Let me go to the call.
One more thing, and then the FIFA field. There's a FIFA soccer field being built out there, too. We didn't talk about that. Mm-hmm. We're going to
get to Savannah on the western side of St. Thomas after this caller. Good morning, caller. How are you?
Good morning, Governor, and good morning, Neville.
Morning.
This is Jimmy Weber.
Morning, Jimmy.
Just as a preamble, when I'm angry and I got some old truck and I can't listen to you. But my wife and my sister said the governor called me name and quote me. So I just got to make sure, since so much people are listening to IO, especially with the governor and after the state of the territory. What was the quote about, Governor?
The quote said, you told me one time, a politician never gets credit for the stuff they stop from happening. Only the stuff that they make happen. You remember that?
Okay, yeah. So the listening audience, that is true.
I'm accurate. When people tell me sense, I remember. That thing stuck in my head, and that was 10 years ago he told me that.
Yeah, you're here with Black, and you've been troubled quite some time for the last 8 years, so I know the possibility of not remembering exactly what I pay is high, because nobody don't come to you, like you say, with praise or nothing, and everything you say will be doubted, including myself, right?
Right.
But I don't do a lot of mangering in St. John. Just don't do nothing to Trunk Bay. You don't go do nothing.
Not a thing.
It belongs to the national park. Don't do nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Some things.
Well, you got to put up the defense mechanism so nothing don't happen.
No, we good, man.
No, they ain't got to do nothing, Neville. Zero. They need nothing. I tell you, some things just leave it alone. Thomas flowering, leave it alone. Don't do nothing.
Whatever it takes to keep it at that particular global status of number one beach, I'm for that.
That's right, which is nothing. Don't do nothing. I'm telling you. And Governor, I don't know if you mentioned it. Like I said, I got in a whole truck. But I think your number one priority in St. John is fix that firehouse. That man living 80 feet from the fire truck then because the firehouse ain't fixed. And don't put out a bid. Every fireman got 2 jobs. And I bet you they could do the plumbing, the electrical, or whatever. Don't put out a bid. Let it do it. Pay them the extra. They don't be doing nothing except waiting for a fire. They'll be glad to fix it up themselves. Let we think a little different, you know what I mean?
I hear you.
It just ain't so. And Neville, if I could.
Yeah, quickly, because we're going through St. Thomas. We got to run through the priorities for St. Thomas and St. Croix and White Island as well.
All right. Here's your priority for St. Thomas.
No. You said quickly. What you were going to tell me?
No, I can't do quickly. The fact of the matter is your restaurants and your hotels are about to not be able to service your clientele. We've rounded up the immigrants.
Yeah.
I've seen kitchens go from 16 to 4. The hotel and book. It don't come a time, nobody ain't going to get on over. And no restaurant ain't gonna serve no food because ain't got nobody to peel the potato.
We come into the Trump impact to the Virgin Islands, and the governor gonna speak to that in a little bit. Thank you very much, Jim. Appreciate that.
And thanks for the conch. It's a man of your word.
Thank you very much.
You don't got to tell them everything. You pay for it. You pay for it. I'm not looking up, man. You pay for it.
Thank you very much, Jimmy Webber. I appreciate that. And your sister look out for you this morning, so just let you know that, okay? Jerry look out for you this morning. Okay, so I want to know that for the record. Can we mention John's name and Richie there and all our candidates? So we want the public to know that.
Morning, Jim.
Thank you very much.
Wait, let the public know John is a Republican. He's the only one.
Thank you, Jimmy. I appreciate that. Governor, so we got road work we're looking at on the eastern end of the Bay Red Hook. What about transitioning down into downtown Charlotte Mali, the epicenter?
We got a it's funny. We have a sidewalk and gutter project running now, fixing a lot of the sidewalks in Charlotte Mali. We really did. I am like intent on getting Fort Christian, the parking lot, the Vendors Plaza, Emancipation Garden, Educators Park, the bottom and the top are fixed up. So we have our people going out to fix the rest of Educators Park, Fort Christian. We already deal with the Vendors Plaza, but we want to do some planting and Emancipation Garden and fix that up around there. In the parking lot, Zone A Command, the old building was in the parking lot. Mm-hmm. We got $7 million to reconstruct that. I didn't put that out either. We already got it passed.
No, that's why you're here.
Yeah, we already got it passed. This is why they'll be keeping me out of the document.
That's why you're here.
We already got it passed. Historic preservation. That's going to become like a center for communication, technology, and whatnot. We're going right there in the center. We're going to expand the enterprise zone a little bit. HARP, we have a partnership with this investor. I don't think he wants to be named. They are repairing Creaky Alley, International Plaza, Gonzalo Calo, that tear down building right next to First Bank, Burnside Alley. That's right across from the Catholic Church, running all the way down to the waterfront. All those things are going to be repaired, rehabbed, and they're going to be mixed-use parking, more parking on the waterfront. We're doing Veterans Drive. We were trying to wait not to pave it, but we're paving parts of it because it's so terrible. We got the money to go around the legislature now and get that fixed. And then the abandoned and derelict building. Listen, I had a lot of...
The Coast Guard still next to the legislature?
Right. So with the dock is going to stay, and there's the road's going to come through the dock, and there'll be a gate to go onto the dock from the highway. Okay, good.
We're talking with Governor Albert Bryan in the aftermath of his 7th State of the Territory. He got one more, right? We're there in the last quarter of his 8-year run as Chief Executive of the Virgin Islands. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll talk about Bordeaux, Water Island, and then the Big Island. And then from there, we'll have a good spirited discussion with him and Communications Director Richie Mota Jr., a Canigita and a Williams, by the way. Be back right after this. And we're back here on Analyze This, and we've got Governor Albert Bryan here in the studio. Night before last, he keeps saying last night because, like you said, it's all a blur, right? But night before last, he gave his 7th State of the Territory address. Also joining us here in the studio is his Communications Director, Richard Mota Jr. So, Governor, we're doing major infrastructure work on the waterfront in St. Thomas.
Yeah, Charlotte Kimmelman opened this year. That's under construction. High school, we mobilizing, Charlotte Mali High, mobilizing to tear that down now. So by the end of the summer, that's going to be flat.
Now, let me ask this question based on what Jimmy just touched on, which is impacting the entire United States. Illegal immigrants been a part of the workforce for decades. This administration ran on, anti-illegal immigrants. We're seeing the ICE folks, everybody doing what they got to do. Jimmy just mentioned, what going on there. You had people who ain't show up to Arthur Richards. You had workers down there, whatever that is, right? And other the new Arthur Richards, I should say, and other businesses, what have you. What's your first impression with respect to how it's going to impact the workforce, in particular when the Virgin Islands is a consumer-driven economy? And then we'll segue from there into the western side of St. Thomas, Water Island, and St. Croix.
It feels like the Truman era with the Red Scare. When we were looking for communists in the country and shaking people down to find out where their affiliation is. It's sad. Some parts of it is good, but let's be real, right? The traffic in St. Thomas has come, like you could drive freely because it's amazing. Somebody was telling me this morning, my security was like, it's amazing to think how much immigrants we have on that island. Like even people who are legally in the U.S. Virgin Islands are afraid because they talk about denaturalizing people and all kinds of craziness.
Birthright citizenship and all that craziness.
Exactly. So it is an immediate impact on the construction because that's where it's being felt most because that's where we have the most workers and that's what the immigration seem to have been targeting. So they're at the ports from St. Thomas to St. John looking at the construction workers coming going back and forth.
It's true, you could run cattle on the ferry.
Oh my goodness!
Between St. Thomas and St. John, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh gosh! So this is real, though. This isn't rumor and talk.
No, it's felt in the schools because remember now we have a lot of dreamers and people who don't know what dreamers are. We got a lot of people here registered in school but don't really have a legal visa status to be in the Virgin Islands. So people are not sending the kids to school. There are rumors about people being dragged off the bus and all. It's not true. We have the Attorney General, Department of Education, my team is sitting down together and they have some information for principals and teachers. The immigration officers are not allowed to come on the school campus and shake down the school. That's just a no-no. I don't anticipate that they'll be doing that, but if they do, we don't have to let them on the campuses. So if you're worried about your kid going to school, don't worry.
Well, you had Democratic governors, Massachusetts, Illinois, California, who tell the president, we're not playing that.
Yeah, no, I mean, we're not playing it either. I mean, we're in a very ticklish position. We're dealing with a very volatile administration. I was shocked to see what they're doing in L.A. with the FEMA funds and saying, like, hey, if y'all don't do this, y'all ain't getting no money. I mean,
Which had nothing to do
with
what's going on with the fires, talking about voter ID and all that stuff. Just craziness. But I believe a lot of that is more bark than bite because they sent out a memo Monday and then they're reversing actions yesterday afternoon. Cutting down Medicaid and all that stuff. Next thing you know, closing down the portal. Next thing you know, portal had to be reopened because of pressure. And I don't know if people know this. There was a special election in Iowa last night. A district where Trump won by 24 points in November. They lost. Wow. It was flipped. So the effects are already happening politically. People having some level of remorse. You know what I'm saying? Now, don't get me wrong. Who the candidate might be is going to have an impact as well. But let's face it, people are asking questions that they didn't ask prior to voting.
Well, yesterday, they issued a memo shutting down all federal grants. That's what it seemed like. But if you read it right, I read it correctly the first time, but it was still a little vague. And then they sent out a clarifying memo. We had already motivated to go to D.C. next week to go deal with some of this stuff because they would have been far-reaching. Because in the memo, it said even if we've obligated the funds, we have the right to pull the funds too. But it's been narrowed down to the 9 executive orders, about 9 executive orders that the president have. So if your grant affects foreign aid, if it has anything to do with the gender, he calls it
woke gender policy.
Woke gender policy. If it had anything for the new green policy, the New Deal green policy,
and DEI,
diversity and inclusion, aid to foreign governments, and I think we clear on most of the things. Our biggest exposure is energy, because that green energy thing, that's $150 million we got for Solar for All. Those programs may be in jeopardy. Like all the stuff we're doing with putting in the free charges for the electric vehicles and giving people low cost interest loans for solar in their house, subsidizing batteries and cars, that money might be a little bit in flux. And then there are always these nuances in transportation where we were discussing this morning, where a lot of the grants we're given were tied to green energy policy. So we have to wait to see what happens there. But
So
for the most part,
we got some issues there. Water Island.
Water Island, right now we're trying to sell. Broker is a better word. Remember we had the agreement to turn the whole place. We're working with that buyer, with that developer, because he got a long way and then he had some things happen in his family or whatever. So he doesn't want to do.
You're talking about what was the hotel?
Yeah, he doesn't want to do the development again. So we're trying to get another developer to pick up where he left off and finish on what we started. We did a lot of paving in Water Island as well too. The composite pole is finished on that island. We still have some money for the development of the fort. There's a World War II fort over there that I got to follow up on our project to see where it is. We were redoing the fort and everything with some commerce money that we had. We got to see what's going on with there. Then we had some repairs on the docks that lead in St. Thomas that people use on Water Island to go back and forth. But Water Island is pretty much set. I haven't been over there I haven't been to Honeymoon Beach in a minute. We got some issues down there with the landlord as well too. But for the most part, they're okay.
How about Haslela? You got people live at Haslela?
Yeah, you got people live over there.
The parks always got a big footprint over there, right?
We do too. We had some money to do some of the trails and stuff over there that Commissioner Oriole is working on.
It's a nice flyover when you're down the seaplane and you're looking over. And I really like that. Bordeaux, down in the west.
We didn't
agriculture, all that stuff.
We have about the agriculture commissioner is successful. I think he said it's about $20 million now to do drilling on wells and repopulate the aquifer down there with dams and stuff. They've been working with the federal government to do that and get those down. He also has some money to build cisterns down there for more external water storage. We still trying to get Housing Finance Authority to finish Wild Pineapple, get those houses up. They said they're moving. That's going to be low affordable cost housing for homeowners shopping in that region. Not Cabrita Point, but Botany Bay. We did some paving.
So what about that development done? I got big development there, and so infrastructure is required.
Jesse Ferrer and his group are doing the eco resort down there. He told me to be open later this year. This place is beautiful.
I've been on. I got a tour down there last year or year before. When it's done.
Yeah. So every unit is like a house.
Yeah.
And it has its own cistern. So it's very. And then they have a pool down there they're doing in the shape of a mollusk. I mean, it is going to be gorgeous when it's done. So we're really proud about that. That'll be the second hotel built. We didn't talk about a Waiko Hampton Inn that my good friend again, Bill and Sean. Sean owns the biggest freestanding hangar in the Caribbean on our airport in St. Thomas. And that hotel is going to be open for Carnival. It's moving along really, really well. So the Havenside area has been coming along really well. We're proud about that. We didn't talk about the expansion of Yacht Haven Marina. That along with Latitude 69, which is in Red Hook. Latitude 69, that marina is being rebuilt. We got that through CZM now, doing it with some developers over there. And then Yacht Haven is going to be expanded 2 ways so we could get some more of those 100-foot yachts.
Before we leave St. Thomas, St. John District and Water Island, Northside, anything over Northside that you want to talk about?
We pave a lot in Northside and we're making it look good. I think the playground up there in Northside, I asked Calvert when he was there, Commissioner White, go and replace that. I think that's slated to be repaired. We did North Star Village Road and a lot of those roads out there already. Well, you know, we don't have any immediate. I'm running through my brain. We don't have any other big projects out there in Northside St. Thomas. But
okay, good. So let me come to St. Croix. Before we get to the racetrack and that announcement that you make there. Now, generally speaking, what you want for St. Croix? What are the priorities for St. Croix?
My priority for St. Croix is economic development. Definitely, we've killed it with WAPA and VI Electron, Crystal Ranger, 41 megawatts of solar power on St. Croix now. That's much what we actually need for the day.
That's the Petronella thing up there in Windsor?
Yeah, plus Hogansburg. We have one in West. And then the big thing for us was...
Well, with the president talking anti-solar verbiage, again, you mentioned some battery grant money that we had gotten, and the way he talking, like as if he got a problem with everything that's alternative energy because he's in this drill mode.
Yeah.
I mean...
those monies.
Let's be genuine with the public. How are these projects, which are supposed to benefit us, and we're unique from the contiguous 48, so it makes sense for us. Is he open to understanding? Is the administration, from what you're hearing, open to understanding our situation and the uniqueness of insular possessions in general?
Absolutely not. I don't think so. They have these blanket policies, and the problem with national policies is you have so many different types of economies in a state. It's like, I think about the Virgin Islands, a small place, 100,000. St. John economy is distinctly different from St. Thomas, which is totally different from St. Croix. And that's only 3 little islands. So imagine New York, Albany, and I can't remember, even a small town in Ithaca or someplace, right? Schenectady. Totally different economies and what runs them. And the failure in remember ARA under the Obama administration when we had this large recession, the failure in that big push was it was so blanket. ARPA has been a tremendous success, and I don't know why President Biden and Vice President Harris didn't push it more. It created so much economic activity in the states that we actually have record low unemployment everywhere, even here. So, you know, when you give people money and it's flexible, we got $80 million in COVID on the first tranche, and that money we could do so much things with it. We could do COVID testing, we could do sewer repairs, we could fix schools, we could have done so many things with it. It worked out. So I think the Trump administration has to be careful. You know, nobody in Alba, there are things I like about Trump. And one thing I like about him is he is a statist. So he believes in state rights. That's where the right that they get the abortion rights and move it from the Supreme Court decision down to the states to make a decision. That's just an example. Not that I'm in support of that particular motion, but he believes states should have more rights. In this iteration of the Trump administration, it seems like a more national agenda is being put forth, which is troublesome because, like I said, every state, every territory is different and runs. Guam, they run on military power. So during this administration, they're going to do really well, you know, because he's expanding the military. He's talking about manifest destiny and Monroe Doctrine. That means the expansion of America in our borders. Like we returning to the time when Rome was dominated. But
he doesn't know what's in these documents. He's been told of what these documents can reflect. I mean, come on now. This is the same person that telling us the Tonana water valve in Northern California and water running down to Southern California. I mean, come on, man. I mean, give me a break. You know what I'm saying?
But you know what's scary though? You know, I was cooking during the inauguration. I was listening to it. So sometimes when the pork chop them start to fry, you can't hear the TV. So I went back and watched it like 5 o'clock in the morning. Again, everything he said, right? You know what was disturbing? Trump doesn't read speeches. And he read that speech. You could see him reading that speech to the teleprompter. So somebody took the time to research and write all that stuff down. And he read it. He didn't ad-lib, which means that he has intent, full intent to implement a lot of these things that he's saying. Not all bad. I think, we getting off the speech, I didn't talk about this, we should, but Trump is a relevant conversation. Tariffs, right, on the rest of the world could be a boom for the Virgin Islands because we have the ability to forgive customs duties and tariffs. So if there's a tariff coming in at 25%, we could let it come in at regular, reprocess it here, right? Add value. As long as 30% added value, that product moves to America mainland as a U.S. product. So I always look for the opportunity.
Is the potential for FSCs to come back into effect in the Virgin Islands?
Absolutely.
Because of what they did to us because we were making too much money in the 80s and the 70s and 80s?
I think that possibility because it's repatriating money in America. But we have some exposure with Trump, you know. I mean, the Virgin Islands, I've been doing I went over to the inauguration of Governor Colon in Gonzales Colon in Puerto Rico, specifically because I am going to lead the Virgin Islands under the Puerto Rico agenda because her and Trump are really good. They owe Puerto Rico one for all of the damage that they did, talking about the floating island, the garbage, remember that? So I think, well, I know whatever Puerto Rico gets, the Virgin Islands gets. But everything the Virgin Islands gets, Puerto Rico doesn't get. So the recovery funds and all of that, those are things that we're paying close attention to. They're going to be treated kindly. And Biden was intent on solving Puerto Rico's energy problem, which benefited us. And I think Trump is going to be intent on solving Puerto Rico's energy problem.
We hope.
He is.
But I know this. Her being a Republican will definitely benefit Puerto Rico because MAP not being a Democrat benefited the Virgin Islands in 2017. That's just how he is. That's how he is. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, from that historical perspective, I understand that. You mentioned the roads in both towns, St. Christiansted and Frederiksted.
Yeah.
A lot of work done, all that stuff. I've been in Frederiksted. I'll tell you something. Driving in Frederiksted, in downtown Frederiksted, is a beautiful thing. Road, they're really, really wide for you compared to Christiansted. Nice. No, I'm pro Christiansted. I mean, anybody know that. But we got a lot of work to do. But really, there's just a distinct difference with the road them in West compared to Christiansted.
West, we doing a lot because, like I said, we just the Rainforest Road. We just got the bonding for that. That's gonna take off and get doing. And let me get it. It's on like
McIntosh, Mahogany Road down in the West. When we come back, we're going to talk about this lawsuit that you mentioned there with respect to VIGL and all that stuff. We'll be back right after this. And we're back here on Analyze This. We got the governor, the ninth, governor number 9? Governor number 9.
elected.
I like that 9.
Yes, ninth elected governor, Albert Bryan Jr. A pilgrim. From Outer Savannah.
No, Pilgrim from Smith Bay and Bunker Hill.
Bunker Hill, okay, that's what I'm talking about. And Richie Mota, his communications director, join us. Good morning once again. Richie, I know you get your text messages laying. I know what the governor need to remember to say and all that stuff. Governor, yesterday on the table talk, me, Rocky, and Docs had a spirited conversation about
how is Rocky?
Rocky doing good, man. Rocky doing good. I know that's your boy, you know. I
love Rocky.
I remember one time when I was hosting a State of the Territory and you calling, and then when you were coming after the phone, you said Rocky, and I was like, wait, that ain't a regular hail up. There's something going on there, so I don't tease you. And you claim that on Monday, the Department of Justice filed a lawsuit against VIGL for breach of contract. I mentioned yesterday, right, doing Henry Warrington. And I said, I want the record to reflect that Neville James is pro-VIGL. Everybody know the governor and Southland Gaming got a good relationship. But I ain't jeopardizing my relationship with the governor because of a dispute with VIGL and Southland Gaming. And I believe the governor is of the same
No. Southland Gaming don't have a nickel in this dime. Right. They could.
But I ain't get into that. Here's what you said. Filing a breach. Filing a lawsuit because of breach. But the thing that I focus in on is you say you got $12 million.
Yes.
And you want to build a racetrack in St. Croix. Now, question number one. Or rebuild the racetrack in St. Croix. And you know it's personal for me for obvious reasons, right?
Yes. Everybody don't know what obvious mean, though.
Well, they hear it on the show. Doc James is my father.
Looking more and more like
and that's his name, even though I racking some braids now, right? And the track bears his name, but the track don't exist. So right now it's just whatever it is. But the 12 million part is what I really want to focus on, Governor. If you got 12 million, does that preclude you from investing into the property right now?
No.
In this particular instance, I want to talk about the racing surface, because that's what it starts with.
Right.
You can't have horse racing without a racing surface.
Right.
You can't have a casino or gaming activity at the racetrack without horse racing. So the fundamental prerequisite is the surface. When I heard that 12 mil, I went and do my research yesterday. Even call Adrian, right, to find out about the dollars.
She warned me.
And she responded to me. She said, let me know the 12 million is FEMA for about 7 and change, and the 5 million that you agreed to with VIGL, Community Facilities Trust Fund, right? That's where the 12 million come from. The surface, I went and I called Errol Abel. You know, Errol's father was an engineer. He actually did the track back in the day. I said, give me an estimate. I also called my folks in the States, right? If you today say, I know we got a dispute with VIGL, but I want to put on that surface because they did expand it to make the track a 1 mile oval, like Churchill Downs and the main tracks. Number one, can you do that? And number two, do you think VIGL would stop you from wanting to lay down a surface which would cost anywhere from $750,000 to $1.5 million?
I don't want to speculate on what VIGL would do. Can I just give you a little? What time does this show finish? 10?
10. We got
okay.
another 15 minutes.
I just want to be honest with the public, right? So we had already committed to the 5, right?
You're talking about the Community Facilities Trust Fund
$5 million
to bifurcate the previous agreement with VIGL running races in the Virgin Islands.
And Calvert, Commissioner White, and Adrian Octolin, Williams Octolin from ODR came to me and said, listen, we still got $7.6 million that FEMA gave us for damage to the tracks, the 2 tracks during the storm. And if we don't assign it to something soon, we're going to lose the money. I said, well, you know what? Let's do this. Let's go to VIGL and say, we're going to build a track, $12 million. We're going to build the stands. We're going to do the stables. You just responsible for the casino. Wherever the $12 million could do, we're going to do everything over that is yours. And you figure out what it is you're going to give up, because now we're putting in $12 million into the track.
So this is you broaching VIGL.
Right.
Okay.
And I said I'd give you a couple of weeks to think about it and come back. But we moving ahead and we building this thing. We talked to their managers, their construction managers. We worked it out. We said, yeah, we could do it for that.
You could pull out of that. Yeah.
They came back and they said, we don't understand why you don't let us build a casino first. And I said, because the people of the Virgin Islands don't want a casino. The vast majority of the people of the Virgin Islands want a racetrack. So we're not going to give you $5 million for you to build a casino. we want our $5 million in the track infrastructure itself. So they said they didn't understand it. Now I'm going to, what's the right word? Deduct what their business rationale is, right? Once they build a casino, there's a funding source.
Deduce, I think that's the word.
Yeah, deduce. Yeah.
Deduce.
I can work with you, say nonsense.
Yeah.
I'm obligated to take care of you.
Yeah.
Deduce, yeah.
Again, like everybody getting old. They can't pull
The
it.
end will be a deduction, but we deduce it now. Yeah.
You're right. It's deduce, not deduct. They want to be able to build a casino, the Racino, so that then they have games. Once you have games, you have income. You have $4-5 million coming in, which you could finance the rest of the track. Makes sense.
Yeah.
But that's their priority, not mine. Mine is to get horse racing before we leave. So they have a very easy thing to do. All they got to do is say, we're going to give up another $1 million in purses a year, or we're going to give up more money to the Horse Racing Association. We're going to increase our tax. They could do a bunch of things. And when you come back to me after I tell you, you were giving $17 million to the track, and I come back and I say, I gonna give 12. I gonna do the track by myself. Are you still having on high?
Well, I printed this out for you, and I don't get this to you now, because as someone who is knowledgeable of the industry, you see that fire there?
Yeah.
That's Arlington Park, July 31st, 1985. You see that tent set up there?
Yeah.
You notice ain't gonna demolish everything that was in the debris and all that stuff in that fire. That was gone in 3 weeks. Wow. So that will show you how fast people can move if they want to get something done. My thing with horse racing is this. We could conduct horse racing without a grandstand.
You can.
Temporarily.
Yes.
Long term, we definitely want a grandstand. You want a facility. We haven't had horse races in St. Croix since 2017, Governor. And this fun argument that I had yesterday with Ducks and Racky, I know you're going to like it. I tell them, man, the best horse racing product exists on St. Croix. Them man say, what do you know about that? Well, they're supposed to say that.
That's a debate.
It's not a debate, but check this out. They're supposed to say that because that's where they get votes. So I got no problem with that, right?
Why they running fast? Ducks and
so I tell
Racky running for governor.
Ducks and Racky, I said, look, when it comes to tourism and that Deepwater Harbor, we the yield to Ohio. We know St. Thomas got it like that. So we want to back down on that. But here's the point that I'm making.
And you have to mention, the winningest horse is Choke Horse from
But
St. Croix.
they know, but they just have to defend their own. But
The big horse on the track is St. Croix.
All I'm saying, Governor, is notwithstanding the legal issues we're dealing with, are you willing to invest in infrastructure at the Doc James racetrack with what you have, starting with the surface?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
But
Are there any prohibitions if you were to say, because that's the legal issue we're dealing with, right? Because you'll now file a lawsuit on Monday. And the reason why I'm begging you to see what you could do with modifying that lawsuit, I'm going to tell you why, Governor. You inherited this Southland Gaming GVI thing when you came in January, because the lawsuit was filed in December of 2018. And that lasts almost 4 years. A lawsuit is time, and we don't have the luxury of time in St. Croix.
But you sound like me last year, right? Don't make the plea to me,
We got you from the same school, Governor. So
make the
that's supposed to
plea
happen.
to
VIGL?
VIGL. Bobeck. That's what he named, right? What he named?
Dubuque.
Andy.
Andrew Dubuque.
Go to Andy and say, build the friggin' stands. I could say that. No. I mean, it's like we haven't done anything because everybody know. You could talk to anybody in horse run, BB, Chuck, all of them who I talk to, who I have conversation with. I don't want to sue anybody, I just want a track done. But they don't seem willing to get it done. And because after you give me,
you said it's evident based on what you say, they don't have the resources, what have you. You did say that in the speech.
Yes.
So my question is, the governor, them being granted a casino license is value.
Never.
That got money associated with it.
I have asked this man every time he come. The first thing I ask him every time he come, you want out? We lay out, You want out? No, he don't want to come out. They doing stuff down Island. They trying to do more tracks and stuff down there. We can't get a track built. And this what you presented here to me.
So you're taking a pro Virgin Islands position.
Absolutely.
With VIGL.
And then we're going to give you $5 million to go where? Down there to invest the money? And let me get back into my governor mode.
Yeah.
I mean.
No, you've answered the question. You are truly committed to investing in infrastructure down in Manage Bay for the Dock Change racetrack.
Not only that, this idea what you have here is great. Well, what we could do is
The tent city worked for Arlington Park. We could make it work here. And as a matter of fact, it's like the agriculture fair.
absolutely.
The fair ain't got no grandstand down there per se. We could do things. I know, I'm offering myself.
So-
you know what I'm saying? I'm offering my institutional knowledge, but I just happen to know.
I'm gonna ask you
Yeah.
to go talk to Andrew. You know how long my attorney's begging me to file this lawsuit, and I said no. Let's give him a chance. We in September we filed with the Racing
Are you
Association.
saying that
no.
you did this reluctantly?
Yes.
Wow.
I don't. Listen, I give a man $12 million. I was like, okay, what else he can do? If I'm still saying September. We waiting for a date from the Racing Commission, And
I think they have a meeting set up in September, right?
They do.
Yeah.
When they went.
Does that go forward now, or with the lawsuit that you filed on Monday?
Forward because technically we have to follow the process. The process is to go to the Racing Commission. We just filed simultaneously because we know it's going to take a while to file in court. But we're going to get a decision from the Racing Commission, and what do you think they're going to say? You know?
Well, remember that we bifurcated the racing commissions as well.
Yeah.
And the Racing Commission in St. Thomas talking about something with the track over there, but I ain't going to get into that. I want to focus the last 2 minutes on St. Croix.
One other thing, so I could be perfectly transparent, right? Bobby and Southland Gaming already offered to build a track in St. Croix,
We want them. I take in a crucial position now. We want that. We have the capacity and the wherewithal here to make it happen on St. Croix.
Honestly, I don't have the time to go through that.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I'm just saying,
Exactly.
Yesterday, I drive around the island regularly. I went on a nice little island trip through Red Hook and everything. Is with peace. And when I passed that race track, it's so proud. People talk about legacy. I'm so proud of that establishment. It is so beautiful.
The reason why St. Croix is where it needs to be is because we have a breeding component which is required to keep the industry sustainable. We're going to get back to that another time.
Talk to your boy.
You're coming back on my show, man, because you've been absent, I've been meaning to talk to you about this. And then you come sit down on my couch balling, boy, it's so lovely in here, and I like looking outside. But then you've been ducking me.
We're going to get back, man.
You're going to get back, Richie. I'm walking out, begging you please to be a little bit more frequent. The fair, you're looking forward to the fair?
Absolutely.
Our number one economic engine for a 3-4 day window.
I'm looking at that. I'm looking at NGA too,
How about agriculture in general for St. Croix?
Well, Buju come in, so it's going to be nice. And agriculture.
Walk like a champion. Talk like a champion.
I understand Beanie Man's supposed to come too. I wrote a letter to the immigration for him to be able to come back into the United States again.
Beanie?
So, it was approved. So we're hoping to see him come. I want to have dinner with Beanie and Buju.
Let me ask you this question.
No cannabis.
You're going to eat ackee and saltfish?
Yeah.
That's the real thing. You feel good about where you at after running 6 furlongs out of this mile race, and you're there in the 7th for a long now, turning for home and the Virgin Islands? Because you inherit a recovery, and folks are concerned that the recovery ain't where it should be at this particular point.
This is two things I want to say.
Yeah, you got 2 minutes.
I really go back and look at the platform I ran on in 2018. And if you read it, I'm gonna point out. Richard, we gonna do a press release and point it on Facebook, so you could download that platform and you could see we fulfilled everything we said. Everything we said, almost everything. The last thing is Devin, right? To get his constitution. Mm-hmm. It really speaks
well, there's something quickly because we got time. You asked the legislature to prioritize with you. That was one of the premise of your speech on Monday. Work with me.
Yeah.
But what about I willing to work with you?
I am. So I always, they don't like it when I say this, I told them I had $569 million of ARPA funds. What y'all want? Senator Maurice James, she said she wants $2 million to do Williams Delight. And I think maybe one more thing. But other than that, the money was there. The $133 million in cash, let me don't leave here. I could have spent that money,
You talking about the Epstein money?
Yeah. I left it there for you think I was studying Senator Fred Gregory, but she got preemption to writing the bill. You can't preempt funds, revenues. So I left that money alone. We used some of it. We had to pay some bills.
What's the ballpark balance right now?
It's about $120 million.
120 million. Okay.
And it's in cash. When is the last time we had $120 million in cash sitting down? Cash. So.
But what about the legal issues with that? Because we've been sued. Are we dealing with that? Are we defending ourselves?
Oh, I don't think that case going in much places. It's stalled right now because you have a bunch of Jane Does, and they anyway. I don't want to talk too much, but there's not much happening in the legal field. But we have that money. We have that money in cash, and we need to do some stuff. Set the seniors right, because the senators are going around. Some of them, not all of them, lying to people. An appropriation. Frankie Johnson, Senator Frankie Johnson, stop it. An appropriation is not cash. An appropriation is a license to spend if you have the money. The money that they have now for these Epstein settlements is cash. All they got to do is write the bill to spend the funds to pay the retro.
You're coming back?
And we good.
You're coming back?
I'll be back.
Richie, you going to set it up for me?
I got you.
I appreciate that, Governor. Good to see you, man.
Hey, good to see you.
And work with that to let them know where they could, how fast they could move with that there. All right, thank you very much, Governor, and thank you, Richie Mota. Governor, I want to talk to you for 2 minutes before you go.
The views and opinions expressed on Analyze This are entirely those of the on-air participants and do not reflect those of the station's board, management, staff, or underwriters.